Hello everyone. Before we start today's video, if you could all do me a solid and lightly tap the like button, perhaps share the video about and leave a comment. If you are not subscribed, subscribe as well. It would greatly help this channel. Thank you very much. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's log. Subdates 221031.2. Tonight's the night of spook. If the trick-or-treaters turn up, I'm gonna turn them into poop. The candy is mine, the kids can go to hell. Try to get treats from me and I'll send you to a dive like Motherwell. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be continuing with our discussion of Just Stop Oil that took up most of last week's content and has carried on this week because their protests have not relented. No doubt they believe by doing what they have been doing, their tactics are going to yield significant returns and change. The more noteworthy being no new oil and no new gas. Current use is fine, just none of the new stuff. It's like new metal, but apparently it's worse, which is not possible. One of the things they have been employing is by using non-lethal, non-destructive means in their peaceful protesting, more notably using orange paint to spray buildings, to spray art, to spray some people as well, especially those that dare try and stop them from spraying buildings up that they work in because they're not best impressed by this. And I can't show the video, by the way, because it gets violent, but I'll link a relevant tweet with the video in down below. As the protests are continuing, more and more people are being arrested for criminal damage, and that is what it is. Granted, the damage is negligible and can be cleaned off with many cleaning appliances, some of which have chemicals in. Take a wild guess where some of those chemicals come from. It's amusing and ironic. But none of this has stopped Just Stop Oil from getting their point across, which has steadily, increasingly aggravated the local populace, who've decided that while they're, Just Stop Oil that is, going to scream, this is assault, this is assault, proving that they are well and truly bitch-made. The people have decided, I don't care, get the f*** out of the road, sod off, take your protest somewhere else. Because if I'm unable to get to work, to earn my money, to pay to put the roof over my head, and to pay to put food on my table, then I'm hardly going to be on your side, am I? Many people prefer the, let's just do this carefully and more considerately. Others taking the stance of, have you realised how warm October is? This is a climate emergency. Thinking that for 1 second the United Kingdom can truly make an impact on the grander scale of countries that refuse to acknowledge this happening and being an issue. Cough cough. Winnie the Pooh and India being the two more noteworthy. India from a very different reason to that of China. China's just fingers in ears and honeypots. We as a country, the United Kingdom, are doing our bit. And we are trying to be better. It is taking time. And yes, we are running out of time, sure. Life is apparently quite short for you mortals. But for the rest of us, progress is progress as long as it's going in the right direction. Not that any of you care, you're too busy making everything orange. A form of defacing and a non-permanent solution. And it's non-permanent because a hose pipe and a few chemical wipe downs and it's fine. Not that it should take away from the fact that you're still using fire extinguishers to spray up buildings. Which is where we are going to go to after I've shown you a video at the museum in The Hague. A painting by Johan Vermeer titled Girl with a Pearl Earring. In this video you're going to see a Muppet decide that to deface a painting, even though it is negligible because of obvious reasons that many have had to tell me over and over again, even though I've stated it in many videos, i.e. the painting is protected. But the people who are doing these defacings have decided to be quite literal in how they approach it. So do enjoy.
Wat is dit aan het doen?
How do you feel? How do you feel when you see something beautiful and priceless being apparently destroyed before your eyes? Do you feel outraged? Good. Where is that feeling when you see the planet being destroyed?
Suitable interjection because of copyright issues that may well arise from Disclosed TV, who I got the video from on Twitter. How do I feel when priceless paintings are being defaced? When the planet is also burning? Again, this absolute of you can only appreciate the world or you can only appreciate art. The only reason you go for art is because it is a soft mark. You are too much of a coward to go and do it to the people with a lot of money that can affect actual change. You are too cowardly to go and do it to politicians. You are too cowardly to go and do it to any other institute that carries more weight in society. You are choosing museums because that is where we preserve our history, and you think that is where you will end up when the time is right if humanity survives. Space has to be made for the martyrs after all. It's Saint Doofus 1 and Saint Tweedle Twat. Additionally, with the soup I noticed being poured on the one dude sticking his face to the Vermeer, people who actually suffer and struggle, who do live on soup, can't afford Heinz, dickhead.
Before our very eyes.
Obscene. Oh no! Shame on you.
This painting is protected by glass. It's justified.
Shut up. Take away from there.
If even you know that the glass is protecting the painting, do you realize how hollow, how shallow, how embarrassingly weak your protest looks? When you are still too cowardly to actually do any discernible damage to anything that cannot be wiped down. When you sprayed up buildings, which we'll get to in a moment, you knew it could be wiped off. Some of you have compared yourselves to the suffragettes. The suffragettes were more than happy for collateral damage to happen to get their point across, actually causing genuine damage, destruction to things, because they cared so much they were willing to cross all of those lines. Whether any of us respect the suffragettes or not is not the point, but you have compared yourselves to them in the past. In an interview I covered last week, in fact. You know there is nothing you can do to damage that painting, yet you think that by sticking your face to glass or by spraying it up with tomato soup, when everyone knows oxtail is better, just shows how feeble you really are.
Vulnerable people in the global south, they are not protected. The future of our children is not protected.
Get out of there.
People in fuel poverty who need to choose between heating or eating are not protected.
So next on the agenda, another video for you to see, courtesy of Rich Felgate, who was retweeted by Just Stop Oil on Twitter, who had tweeted out, "The media are just as complicit as the government and the oil companies," as a quote. Just Stop Oil supporter spray paints Rupert Murdoch's News UK office in London, who is the owner of The Sun, The Times, The Sunday Times, Talk Radio and Talk TV. Bunch of hashtags underneath. And we here on this channel do love ourselves, and by all means consider this sarcasm, guilt by association.
Targeted this because it's the media, and the media are just as complicit as the government and the oil companies by failing to address the truth of the matter.
A good news company, which is of course oxymoronic, is supposed to report on what is observed, not provide opinions, and not make it biased. Now, of course, all outlets are in some way biased, but of course they're complicit because they're not standing up to everyone else? Interesting. Now if you could do me a favour and instead of targeting some old fuddy-duddy, go and spray up the BBC with the words "defund the BBC." Now you also mentioned they were failing to address the truth of the matter. If they are privately owned news outlets, they're not going to because they are a business and their job is to make money. If they are publicly funded, there is a possibility of a discussion to be had there. But that's mostly just the BBC, and I've earlier stated it. Defund them. They are not complicit. You are just looking for others to blame. And I'm sure some are reporting on this issue. I'm certain of it. But they're not reporting it the way you would want them to because the optics that you guys don't seem to understand favor them reporting on you as maniacs. Controversy is vastly more profitable, especially when you can spin it for a pretty penny. On the 31st of October, around 8:30 am, 6 Just Stop Oil supporters sprayed orange paint from fire extinguishers onto the Home Office, the MI5 building, the Bank of England, and the head office of the News Corps at London Bridge. As you can see from that first part of a video, someone blew their load very quickly and really didn't cover too much. But it's okay everyone, he has backup, and they really want to drive that point home. Because as is well established, nothing gets your point across more than by writing in the thinnest possible spray paint known to man in a tiny little cubbyhole next to the damage and devastation is your tag, Just Stop Oil. Might I recommend you take a lesson in how to spray paint? Perhaps meet up with the Banksy, or go to where there are better art forms. You can use different shades of orange as well, and make it look as spectacular as some of those Vermeer paintings you've been gluing your face to, or that rather beautiful sunflower painting that was tomato souped last week or the week before. Near the start of this video I mentioned that people have started taking this into their own hands because they're getting well and truly sick and tired of Just Stop Oil blocking the roads. 33 members of Just Stop Oil were arrested because they kept on blocking the Harley Ford street, which left drivers fuming, who had then removed demonstrators who then persistently returned to take their places in the road, because if the driver hits them in their car, it's criminal damage and assault, something I of course disagree with. I think it's natural selection. You want to get your point across, I don't think you do it by having a car sat stationary with the engine running really gets your point across, although I think the car should all do U-turns and rev till some of that smoke blows in your face. Really knocks down that life expectancy, doesn't it? Those 33 members were arrested as stated, and the roads were later reopened. But just to add to how irritating this all is, you have some councillors for the Labour Party who are in turn supporting these protests by saying it's these people that are making the biggest sacrifice. They'll be arrested, go to a police cell, go to court on Monday. But half an hour's disruption is not a massive sacrifice. I guess it depends on the nature of your employment. Or if you're, I don't know, an ambulance carrying somebody who needs medical attention. Don't forget here, these dickheads have blocked medical aid. These same dickheads are still disrupting people, mostly blue-collar workers, from doing their job. And the vast number of these people who actually go to these Just Stop Oil protests are usually incredibly privileged, and at least have some stability and financial security, which in turn means they don't live in London and are just disrupting Londoners from doing their bloody job. As a final point I want to make in this video, a conclusion if you will, I find these protests shallow. They're not really achieving as much as they would like, and if anything are just pissing people off more and more. People who are annoyed are not going to want to support you. It is possible more younger people will want to support you, and certainly very older people. But those who are busy, those who work a lot, who sit somewhere in the middle, do not want to support you because they want to make progress together slowly. Your interpretation of the information at hand is remarkably jaded and absolute in your method, i.e. you can only like one, not the other, or the other one and not the first one. This is weak, because if you genuinely wanted to impact change, you'd be willing to make that sacrifice for a cause by doing the very thing you refuse to do. I do not encourage destruction of anything. I do not think we need to do anything like that to impact any kind of meaningful change. But you, Just Stop Oil, don't seem to understand that there is a way forward without having to do these rather shallow gestures. Wasting paint for the sake of it. By the way, that water is going to end up somewhere where it has to be clean. Congratulations on doing your bit for the environment, I guess. Impacting real meaningful change means you need to work with people, not bully them. And as all you are a group of rather irritating privileged bullies, I don't see you at any point succeeding until Labour win in 2024, in which case they'll just bend over for you and let you stick that fire extinguisher right up Keir Starmer's